So this uniqueness or excitement of Uranus, when you're seeing relationships, you're seeing you got these 10 planets, the sun, moon, and the planets, all are musical instruments in a band playing in a moment. And some planets are playing harmoniously with each other, and their energies are playing melodies with each other that fit to each other. But then some planets are not in sync with that, and they're playing discordant or dissonant things that don't fit into that. Wow, that's upsetting. It can make unique instruments, unique sounds and music, but it's not going to be necessarily the smooth sound. So someone that has these extra aggressive tendencies, wow, this is the kid you'd want to learn to do, learn some taekwondo or aikido, or this is someone that you might want them to play drums or beat things or have a place where they can express this out. If they become special at that, that could be the compensating way. So sometimes you have the vulnerability, and it's the gateway to genius once it's solved. So it's not, but Mars is not about thinking or choosing or feeling secure. That's Moon, Mercury, and Venus. Those are the inner planets. It's about how you put it out. And it's going to depend to a certain degree on how secure the inner planets feel. This is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you eat well, if you live okay, you had a good night's sleep, you can think properly. If you think properly, then you can probably make better choices than if you don't. And if you make the choices you make, you're going to have better confidence around it, and then you're going to go do them or get them. Or not. So simple to talk about. It's so invaluable to be able to see this, and yet it's when it's there in a real circumstance, it's haunting to know how to solve it. You have to know how it's there, and you're compensating and trying to avoid the extreme disruptions of it. So if you have the kid with it, you're not giving them Coke, you're not letting them climb a ladder by themselves or watch it. You're having to watch them a little bit more. You don't let them run out on the street. If you have a partner that has that, they can be very exciting and satisfying in one way. They can do things very quickly, but they're not going to want to be smothered or held back in the slightest way. That can diminish sympathy and closeness in a different manner. It's kind of like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. What's next? Doesn't mean that everyone has it. Most people have it. You wouldn't measure it on those terms because the Mars is weakened. But other planets get in. Some planet, if Mars was really strong and it still had this aspect, it's really accident prone. It's really prone to do the exceptional thing and then not get supported for it. Like someone that wins gold in the Olympics and then it's never quite good enough to get in again, and they have to settle at something less for the rest of their life and live off that one moment glory. While they're feeling they should do it, they could do it better. And managing anger is managing Mars, directing energy properly. So as soon as you see this, then you got to watch, well, where's Saturn and where's Jupiter? Where's the discipline? Where's the restraint? So if Saturn and Uranus were both making an aspect at the same time to Mars, that's better than just Uranus or just Saturn. Saturn adds the discipline where Uranus adds the shock. And when it works properly, Saturn will make sure you're prepared, and eventually you go do something and you've got the muscles, you've done the discipline. If the Jupiter clues in. If you get angry or gets negative, how many teenagers? I mean, the majority of teenagers get through okay, but everyone has their challenges. It starts differentiating as we're teenagers, as we have social pressures coming in. So even in today's virtual reality, where people are living imaginarily in their electronics, on their Facebook with their thousands of friends or their friends that they know, but it's not really personal. They can have that world there, but it's not. They're trying to sublimate all their doings and put all their energy into that. What else are they doing? And if you try to take them away from it, they're going to blow up. So these are volatile people, Uranus, Mars. Uranus, Mars excites. It puts the matches and the gunpowder in the same place. And then there's a flint being thrown, bouncing around the room that sooner or later is going to hit the gunpowder, hit the rock or the gunpowder, something's going to light up. So you meet people, they're going to blow up. They're going to blow up. So someone with an anger problem or disruptive problem could easily have this. But if you have a kid with this, you can't stop them from playing. You just watch and make sure they have the right equipment. They're not riding their bike without the helmet. You're watching these things just to make sure they're in place. And hopefully they learn as they get older, if they're going to take the excitable things, they better be prepared. If they're going to walk on a tightrope wire over a gorge, they better use the safety gear, even though they don't want to keep themselves hooked up because it's safer. The unexpected could happen. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. But if you have that and you're trying to tell that to your husband or your wife, you're not going to get approval. Okay. Just this nervous restlessness that hits the Mars and excites it. But exciting Mars is exciting someone who's trigger happy, that's got a gun and it's loaded and it's all ready to shoot, and they just excited. It's hard to not shoot or fight or argue. You know, if you have a bunch of girls that being together, they all got their boyfriends or whatever, all planning to try and do something. This is the one that would have more sudden disruptive experiences and would break away and not be the same as the team or the group. Or other things could hold them into the team, but this would give them their disruptive energy that they had to deal with. Okay. So Mars is often tied to the career, what you're doing, the work you're doing, and how stable is your work? How confident, how secure are you in the work that you're doing? You know, so different types of jobs have different types of security. But you're not going to get someone with an excitable Mars working as a security guard or a teller on a bank. It's not going to happen. Not for very long. They'd have to do something a little more physical, even if it was unstable. You know, like they got energy. There's just a question of how much training. So if Saturn's in on it, it may balance it a bit. So you'd work on Saturn and Mars to try and anchor and be prepared for the sudden changes of Uranus. But Uranus is putting the energy to Mars. Mars is not putting the energy to Uranus. And a lot of innovative careers, a lot of innovative things. You do something independently and you're just on your own doing it. It's competing, you're your own specialist. And there's probably millions of people being their own specialists around the world, but they're not wanting to be told what to do. They're not always being supported for it. They all usually have to fight to get it. And may feel they disassociate and don't fit in otherwise. Okay, long enough. That's good. When we get to Jupiter, now as soon as you get to Jupiter now, it's much more difficult to see and put a focus on what Uranus is doing to Jupiter. You get a sort of sense, but it's hard to be specific about it. So Jupiter is your guiding light. It's the wisdom, it's the wise teacher that understands responsibility, Saturn, understands time, and tries to get you to do things and be prepared. So you're being prepared to be on time for things and do things on time and with proper discipline. So when Jupiter works like that, put the effort first, then get the reward. Then even an unstable Mars can still be guided much, much better. But if like Mars, there's so many things to do, and there's so many that are right, there's so many that are wrong. Jupiter's the guidance. This is right, this is wrong, this is appropriate, this is not. Do you understand what you're doing? Why would you take that risk? Why would you do that? So Mars Uranus would be challenging Jupiter to find exceptional guidance. But Jupiter hit by Uranus is going to have an exceptional understanding, a high-strung understanding. When Jupiter is a huge, big gaseous planet. I remember back in the 90s when the comet came in and split up and broke up, and the asteroid, I'm not sure it was a comet, I think it was a comet, it broke up into pieces and hit Jupiter. And you just saw these explosions on Jupiter, and it went underneath the surface, and that's all you saw. It would light up, they'd go in, they'd disappear, they'd be swallowed up, and they'd go in. And then you wouldn't see it, but you know something's happened. I don't know what it is, you know, but there's an energy there. It's not hard to measure. What is the result? In a way, that was probably the beginning of the World Wide Web, where the old understanding of things got blasted and changed to more virtual reality. So Jupiter gets excited. It embraces new understanding, unconventional understandings. It's trying to be different. But the more it's trying to be different, the less it's listening to Saturn. The less it's listening to Saturn, the less stable it is. So for exciting, for doing something different, for expanding to something new, wow, this is great. Let's start a Green Party. You know, let's do something different. But to be able to stabilize it, to be able to act on it, a much more difficult challenge. So Jupiter, which is usually guiding the Mars. And remember, when you think of understanding, there's a lot more misunderstanding or naive understanding in the world than there is wise understanding. We're lucky if in our life we get to moments of good guidance. You know, like for an athlete to get to the Olympics, they need good guidance, good teachers to get there, to know what to do, to channel the Mars, to get it working at hard so it can really excel. So Jupiter's inclined to go for the excitement. At the same time, it's inclined to short, so that excitement is inclined to try and bypass the Saturn or diminish the Saturn, the responsibility. And it's still going to try and encourage, well, you want to do that? Okay, go for it, try for it. It's exciting, this is fun, let's go for it. And they build up the justification, you know, how we justify what we're doing, that's Jupiter. So how we justify our energy or justify what we're doing. Wow, if someone has this, it means their parents were doing this too. They were justifying what they're doing and how they were living, not necessarily being responsible. I know one kid was adopted at a couple of weeks, like very early in the first month or two. And so the parents wanted the kid, and they loved the kid, they were well off, they lived very well, the prime members of their community. By the time the son goes up, he ends up smoking up and being rebellious and being different, and he meets another lady and they get pregnant, and the one lady they consider their parents are all sold out because they're in the system, and they have their kids, and they won't let their parents see their grandkids. And the grandkids said, how come we did everything right? How come? They won't even let us see the grandkids. They think their being good is a bad influence on the kids. Of course, they're living, the father, the son who has the kid is living, he's a tattoo artist living in a very radical lifestyle. So he had everything done right, but still, person fought, broke up on it, and picked up a different understanding. It was exciting to him. He was sure that the new wave was there, just like the hippies in the 60s felt that this was the way it's going to be. It's changing the world. Okay, so understandings come up and they get excited. Wow, astrology is so interesting. Wow, this is incredible. Got to go for it. I got to be that. I got to do that. I'm going for that excitement, that innovation, so it can be a genius insight. But of all the genius insights, how many people can have the right understanding to guide their Mars properly, to be serious enough to be able to get there? How many people go back and get their degree to get there? Or how many people know to go on anyways? So this Jupiter guidance, then it becomes complicated because Jupiter is advising certain planets, some better than others. Conjunctions or squares, you see it's Jupiter has its presence. And the way that squares, they're going to struggle with what's right or have struggles with their understanding. And if Uranus is, they're going to be struggling with this unconventional understanding.